The story follows a group of people who suddenly find themselves in a fantasy world with no memories from before their arrival and chronicles their struggles to survive and make a life for themselves as volunteer soldiers. Haruhiro, Minato, Yume, Shihoru, Ranta, and Meguzo are shown struggling to defeat a goblin in a deep forest of Grimgor. Early the next morning, as they eat breakfast together, they discuss their next plan of action. But they realize that they have no idea where they came from originally. They remember awakening inside a strange tower 2 weeks ago during nightfall, and they form their own group called Team Minato. Brittany, the commanding officer of Red Moon, which is Alternate Frontier Army's reserve force, registers Team Minato as trainee volunteer soldiers. In order for them to survive and earn money for their needs in the town of Ortana, they must sell their collected horns and claws from their hunted goblins. On the 13th day, Team Minato spots 4 goblins camping nearby in the forest. However, Haruhiro notes that if today does not work out, there is always tomorrow. While the rest of the group is sleeping, Haruhiro and Minato have a drink of freshly made ale. The two share their interest of possibly going to the local Shelley's Tavern together, describe their training experiences with their guild mentors, and take notice of a red crescent moon in the sky. The next day, Team Minato goes in for an attack on a goblin in the forest without a set strategy. As Meguzo seemingly deals the death blow on the goblin, Ranta collects a black wolf's fang and a silver coin hung around the goblin's neck. Although the goblin quickly tries to escape, Ranta repeatedly stabs the goblin to death in regret. After the group trades in the collection for 130 copper coins, they go their separate ways for leisure until the end of the day. They reunite at a bridge to watch the sunset together. At night, Haruhiro and Minato try to prevent Ranta from peeking in the girls' bathhouse, but to no avail. Early in the morning, Haruhiro notices that Meguzo has a strong passion for cooking, which started before he ended up in Grimgor. Team Minato spends the next few days in the rain failing to hunt goblins. They are forced to wear the same clothes every day, washing their laundry each night before bedtime. The next day, Team Minato enters the ruins of Demuro in a building and kills a sleeping goblin, hauling in 4 silver coins as the reward. After Team Minato explores Demuro and kills more goblins as a unit, they are able to use their earnings to buy more weapons, clothes, and food. The team returns to Demuro to hunt 3 more goblins, using new skills they have learned in their respective guild training sessions. In the process of retreating, Minato takes an arrow to the back by a goblin and soon collapses, having exhausted his healing powers earlier. The rest of the group rushes to Ortana with Minato in tow in order to see Honen, master of the Priest's Guild. Honen tells them the devastating news that Minato has died and cannot be brought back to life. He suggests that Minato deserves a proper funeral of cremation. The rest of the group weeps for the loss of their friend as the ashes are carried in the wind. The group is despondent after Minato's death and funeral. Haruhiro, Ranta, and Meguzo go to Shelley's Tavern, where a carefree man named Kikawa informs them that the priest of a group is highly targeted and therefore must be protected. With Kikawa's help, Haruhiro, now as group leader, recruits Mary as part of Team Haruhiro. As they return to Demuro to fight goblins, the rest of the group realizes that Mary is a sullen, taciturn person who does not cooperate well with them. As the guys return to Shelley's Tavern to come up with possible solutions, a volunteer soldier named Renji offers Haruhiro a gold coin worth 100 silver coins as a gift for the loss of Minato. However, Haruhiro selflessly declines the offer. At night outside the girls' bathhouse, Yume cries with Haruhiro, saying that they were a real party when Minato was the group leader. After Haruhiro apologizes to Yume for not consulting with the girls first, Haruhiro and Yume cuddle. But Shihoru has a slightly different perspective from the bathhouse window. Shihoru apologizes for assuming that Haruhiro and Yume were in a relationship, which brings up unnecessary jealousy in Ranta. Yume and Shihoru convince Haruhiro, Ranta, and Meguzo to make Mary feel more welcome despite the circumstances. In Demuro, Team Haruhiro efficiently kills 3 goblins. Mary heals Meguzo's head wound, but she disregards Ranta's arm bruise. Also, Mary rebuffs Haruhiro from attempting to have her open up. At Shelley's Tavern, the rest of the group witnesses Mary talking to Shinohara, leader of Team Orion. At night, Haruhiro has a vision of Minato telling him not to doubt himself as the group leader. The next day in Demuro, Haruhiro realizes that Meguzo needs to buy a helmet, and Mary used her staff to protect Shihoru from an attack. Afterwards, Mary politely declines Haruhiro's request to join the rest of the group for a meal. At night in Shelley's Tavern, Hayashi, a member of Team Orion, explains Mary's cold demeanor. Mary happily healed every minor scrape that her former party had suffered, just like Minato. However, as her party faced a giant kobold in the Siren Mine, her magic depleted too soon and 3 members died. Hayashi concludes by saying that he brought Mary out of the Siren Mine alive. Having learned of what Mary has gone through, Haruhiro and Shihoru believe that the group should continue working on befriending Mary, although Ranta is unsure if it is still possible. The next day during a downpour, Haruhiro and Yume fail to sneak up on a goblin after they almost blow their cover in the bushes. Soon after, Haruhiro tells Mary about Minato, who served as the group's healer, offense, and leader. Haruhiro explains that it is hard for his party of leftovers to survive without a priest. He and the rest of the group welcome her as their friend. Team Haruhiro slays goblins day after day in Demuro, and Mary slowly starts to interact more with the others. The group also learns new skills against the goblins. At night, Haruhiro has a vision of Minato and is proud of the way that the group has improved. Haruhiro stops counting the number of days in Grimgar while looking into the sky at a red full moon. Team Haruhiro resolves to not let any more friends die before continuing the hunt for more goblins. Having improved on their skills, the party decides to hunt the group of goblins who killed Minato. In the abandoned building, Team Haruhiro has a tough battle against their clever opponents, each of them using their skills to kill the goblins. Haruhiro finds and kills the remaining goblin that previously stole his dagger and shot Mary with a bow and arrow, which brings up haunting memories about Minato. Shiro tearfully leaves a badge for the fallen Minato at his grave. As it begins to snow, Haruhiro and Mary walk together as he mentions that there are wounds that not even the strongest magic can heal since she is grieving for the 3 members of her former party. Mary parts ways from Haruhiro after being satisfied with talking to him about it. Team Haruhiro takes a day off for some rest and relaxation. Haruhiro and Meguzo have bread for breakfast as they discuss how they and the others will spend their day off. Shiro feeds the doves at the bridge and shows appreciation to Haruhiro for working together as they watch the sunrise. Haruhiro later has tea with Mary on a balcony of a women's apartment complex. Meanwhile, Ranta goes fishing while witnessing Yume rock climbing from a distance. At night in Shelly's tavern, Kakawa informs Haruhiro that there has been an increase in goblin population at Demuro. Haruhiro suggests to his group that they should change their hunting grounds to the Siren Mine, but they must avoid the savage kobold named Death Spots. The overwhelmed Mary excuses herself outside, and after Haruhiro catches up to her, she explains that her friends had died in that very place. Despite their misgivings and Mary's obvious emotional baggage, they are determined to try it. During a training session with Barbara, Haruhiro asks her about the streaks of light that he has often seen while fighting, which seem to show him how and where to strike. Team Haruhiro reaches the Siren Mine, where the group defeats 3 lesser kobolds and claims talismans hung from their noses. As Team Haruhiro works their way deeper into the caves, they defeat 2 normal kobolds, claiming more talismans. At night in his bedroom, Haruhiro has doubts about being fit to be a leader since Ranta has been acting rash towards the rest of the group. When Haruhiro questions Ranta for his actions in the Siren Mine, Ranta responds with mentioning how he defeated an opponent on his own. Haruhiro says that Ranta is easily misunderstood during battle, but Ranta calls out Haruhiro for his weaknesses. The next day, Team Haruhiro returns to the Siren Mine, where they defeat a normal kobold and an elder kobold. When Team Haruhiro reaches the farmland, Death Spots is spotted nearby. However, Ranta accidentally triggers a tripwire cowbell alarm. Mary starts to hyperventilate upon the sight of Death Spots. Mary has a dream of reuniting with her friends Michiki, Og, and Mutsumi. As Haruhiro wakes up Mary, she leads Team Haruhiro away to safety since they would be at a disadvantage in the farmland as an open field. Team Haruhiro stops for a rest in the ruins of a temple where Mary had her traumatic experience in the past. The party's rest is interrupted by 3 undead, the reanimated corpses of Michiki, Og, and Mutsumi, all of whose bodies were not cremated after death. The rest of the group manages to fend off the 3 undead long enough for Mary to purify them each. Haruhiro discusses with his group about what they should work on as warriors. Their relief is short-lived as Death Spot suddenly appears, forcing them to flee. Team Haruhiro is chased through the caverns and narrowly manages to escape through a well, although Ranta is cut off and left behind to face Death Spots by himself.
I'm gonna tear you apart!
Ranta manages to escape from Death Spots through the well and eventually reunites with the others in the farmland. Team Haruhiro attempts to flee, only for Death Spots to block their path. After fending off Death Spots in the farmland, they seek rest in the caves. However, Death Spots finds them shortly after. Haruhiro decides to use his scarf to strangle Death Spots into a pit, giving the others a chance to retreat. As he faces Death Spots, Haruhiro accepts his death but is determined to fight until that moment. He suddenly sees the streaks of light and proceeds to fight. He defeats Death Spots before losing consciousness. He wakes up fully healed at home, thanks to the others returning for him. The others are overjoyed that Haruhiro is awake, as they now have to decide what they will do with the bounty of 30 gold coins that they have earned for killing Death Spots. At Shelly's tavern, Renji apologizes to Haruhiro for his actions in response for Minato's death. Haruhiro later visits Minato's grave, where the vision of Minato believes that Haruhiro has grown as a leader. Haruhiro embraces his new memories with his friends in Grimgar.